your character sheets ready. Warm those D20s. This is Table Talk. And now your host, Kirk and Xander.
Hello everyone, I'm Kirk.
And I am Xander.
And Xander, this is the inaugural episode of Table Talk. Yeah, man, we've been talking about this for a while, and now it's here. We're doing it.
Episode 1, yeah, pretty much red ribbon ceremony for our show.
Yeah, well, let's people that are listening to this, all like 4 of you, are probably wondering what this is about. Well, this is a show, a podcast where Xander and I sit down with players or viewers or even game masters or dungeon masters themselves and discuss the tabletop game they're running. And we're a part of a very close-knit community, you and I, Xander, and that is we are a part of. What do we have a name? Does this community have a name?
As far as I know, it is known as the Bubbernaut community.
We're not like Bubbernauticans or anything, like. Yeah,
not officially, but I mean, we can start a trend. That's the thing about the era we live in. We can start a trend. We can get something going.
Well, Bubbernaut is he's a professional dungeon master, if you will. He streams on Twitch, twitch.tv/Bubbernaut_CCE. And he's got several games he runs, tabletop games he runs. And we'll probably eventually get into all those. But right now, I think his current longest running campaign that he's been doing is the Shackled City campaign. And you know a little bit more about the campaign itself than I do, Xander. So, in your own words, describe this campaign for anybody who may have never heard of Dungeons and Dragons or this campaign or have no idea what we're talking about.
A few short words for the dungeon campaign that they're doing right now. It is dangerous for one. It's not for everybody. No, I'm just kidding. As of right now, I mean, the character-wise, it's a really trying process for them. You could say that it's actually making them, as both characters and players, really kind of open up to a new experience because a lot of them are first-time players. That's the thing. So I mean, not only is this a first-time experience in a game, but the situations themselves are pretty intense, and they kind of have to think on the fly. So I mean, this is an intense experience, in more ways than one for them.
So it's based on Pathfinder, the Dungeons and Dragons Pathfinder, right? That
is correct. So, it is currently going off the Pathfinder game.
Well, and it's kind of a homebrewed Pathfinder in a way. I mean, I think Bubs uses Pathfinder as the core rulebook, but
for the most part, with a little bit of changes here and there, but overall the rules are that of Pathfinder. He is using the core rulebook for it at this point in terms of classes and feats and pretty much how the character sheet's going to look and everything. So, yes, it's homebrew with Pathfinder.
Right, and so far we have, and I should have all this information already pulled up, but I don't. So give me a moment while I try to find it. Well, we have some of the players we have, and you'll hear them introduce themselves in a moment. But so far, right now, he's running the campaign with 6 players right now, and they range from elven rogues to human elemental sorcerers, and even there's some fighters, there's clerics. What the fuck is Panda? He's a monk or something, right?
He is a bard.
A bard, right? Okay. So different range of characters. Again, there's actually, and again, this is his longest running session that he's been doing thus far, to my knowledge.
Correct. As of right now, it is his longest running session, which is the Wednesday group. And
right,
then
yeah,
from
yeah, yeah.
there,
That's a good point. Thanks for bringing that up. He does. So for those of you maybe listening to this after the fact and you want to watch you want to watch Bub's Shackled City campaign live, barring any sort of holidays or misfortunes or unforeseen events that would cause him to cancel a show, he usually streams this show on his Twitch channel that I mentioned earlier, and it'll be in the description of the podcast or the video. And that's on Wednesday evenings from about 6 p.m. Eastern time to about 10 p.m. or 11 p.m. something like that.
somewhere around there, yeah. I mean, it varies from given certain situations, but usually that is the time frame in which it starts.
Right. And we just covered we're recording this about a week out from our original when we first talked to the group last week. They just finished episode 40 and they're about to do episode 41 of the Shackled City. And so what we did is Xander and I got together and we talked to a few of the players immediately after that session last week. And Theodin is a character played by our community's own, and again, these players are all part of Bubbernot's community. They all pay to play this game, so that's another cool thing. It's all kind of we know each other pretty well,
yeah,
and the players know each other pretty well. But Theodowin is one of Dan. We go Dancing Dan, I think is his name on Twitch. I don't remember, but. He plays the Elven Rogue, and he's the newest party member, is he not, Xander?
Yes, in terms of experience, he is the newest player, but that's not necessarily saying that he's the weakest.
Oh, right. But in terms of like joining the party, he's the newest member of the party.
That is correct. He has been in the group the least amount of time.
But some trouble over the last few weeks have been kind of brewing between Theodwin and I say trouble, more like drama has been brewing between Theodwin and the rest of the party. And that come to a head last week, and it was really cool to get to talk to them about it. Sitting back and looking back on our conversation with those guys, what do you take away from that conversation we had, and where it's going to go starting this coming Wednesday?
Well, with episode 40, we ended on a big cliffhanger. It was, if I'm not mistaken, in the middle of an argument where it was just kind of cut off, waiting till 41. So I mean, it's still up in the air on that. And on top of that, I mean, we got an insight as to what's going on with Cicada, Austin's character, and Theodwin, Dan's character, that it's looking like it's reaching a boiling point, and it looks like line's going to be drawn in the sand, and people are going to start picking sides pretty soon.
Yeah, and I think I mentioned this in the actual interview we did with the players. If you haven't checked this out, if you're finding this podcast for the first time randomly, or if you've been redirected to it and you haven't seen any of the Shackled City yet, don't let the fact that it's 40 episodes in throw you off, right? There's still video archives from a lot of the episodes, not all the episodes. Some of the earlier videos or streams were not archived, but there's enough that if you want to go back and it's kind of like coming into a TV show like midway through the season, right? Like you could still you can pick up on it pretty fast on the characters and the backstories. The games, to be quite honest, they go a little slow sometimes, right? So even though it's been 40 episodes, they're only in chapter 2, I think Bub said, as far as the campaign goes. So you're not missing a whole lot, and don't be afraid to tune in now. Like you'll feel like, oh, well, I've missed a lot, because things, I don't even know how. I mean, help me out here. I don't really know how to explain it, other than it's not too late to start watching. Is I guess.
No, I mean, if anything, like I would say there's never really a point where you can't just kind of jump in and kind of see what's going on. They always themselves have a pretty quick recap before every session, so even if you did miss out, they can kind of catch you up real quick as to what happens before they delve into the campaign itself. But I mean, at any point, I mean, it picks up, instantly. So anyone, new to D&D or someone who's been playing for a long time, they can get into it with no problems, I think, regardless of where they start from, episode 1 or episode 41, which is going to be happening next week at this point.
Right. And that's kind of where we come in also. We want to be kind of the third wheel in a way where if you missed a week, right, if you do follow the stream regularly, or maybe you just want cliff notes of what happened on each episode, that's kind of what we designed this podcast for. So we could sit down and get you informed on not only Shackled City, but some other some of other Bub's. Bub also does a Pokemon themed tabletop RPG called Kanto Crusades, which is on Monday nights on his channel.
Yeah. And there's one that he's currently working on, known as Project Valhalla, working off the Palladium game type, but that one is still up in the air at this point. But as soon as he gets that one up, we will try to get some coverage on that one as well.
Yeah, and so we just thought it'd be cool to create a little podcast where we sit and talk with some of the the DMs or the characters, or even some of the listeners who observe these campaigns or participate in these campaigns, and we've even reached out to other people outside of Bubbernos community, to some other dungeon masters who stream on Twitch. And we might even be talking to some of them from time to time about, kind of the campaigns they're running, and spotlighting some other people as well. So there'll be lots of different kinds of content, but we definitely want to keep you in touch with what's happening on Shackled City as much as possible.
Yeah, I mean, we can also include that at this point. We got some pretty good information. I think more so outside of what was discussed in their kind of recap. We got some pretty good insight onto the characters themselves and the players, kind of figuring out possible motives. Not to say that they're spoilers, but I mean, I think we got some pretty good foreshadowing with a lot of the talk that we had with each of the players.
Yeah, I agree. And I mentioned this. I don't remember if I did it on air, off air. But I look at it. It's kind of like being able to pull back the curtain a little bit and when talking to these characters and to Bub, and seeing kind of what's inside their head. And if you're familiar with the popular TV program on, I think it's AMC, The Talking Dead, where Chris Hardwick hosts that, and he talks. They basically sit around and talk about The Walking Dead and what happened this week. So that's kind of what we're emulating in a way. That's just to kind of give you a sense of what Table Talk is all about. That's kind of what you're in for if you decide to stick around, and we hope you do. So yeah, I mean, I guess that's pretty much. We just wanted to kind of give you guys a say, hey, what's up? Give you a little introduction into what you're about to hear. Which, like I said, is the conversation between Xander and I, and I think most of the players were actually a part of this conversation. Bub even was there for a little bit in the beginning, but had to dip out. I think the only person who we didn't really talk to was Vantus, but I don't remember. There was one who didn't make it. But anyway, do you remember?
Yeah, it was Vantus. We didn't get a chance to cover a lot with him. I mean, we dipped into it, but it seemed that night was more about Dan than anything, considering the fact that he was the focal point of a lot of the stemming issues that were coming up in the game.
Right. Yeah.
So we ended up getting more coverage on him than anyone else. But I mean, he, like we said before, he's the bane of a lot of people right now. So.
Yeah. So, what are you looking forward to for next week? I mean, do you think it's gonna? You know what? Don't even answer that.
I was gonna say. I was like, it's still up in the air. He left it on a cliffhanger, and I don't want to spoil myself or kind of give myself a hype that might not be there to begin with.
Let's just put it this way. There's much anticipation for what's going to happen this Wednesday night, and we're talking Wednesday night, December the 23rd, actually, the eve of Christmas Eve, and so make sure you tune in for that. Well, I guess that just about does it. If you're listening to us on YouTube or on whatever format you happen to be listening to us, make sure you go over and you give us a subscribe and a like and all that good stuff. It would really help us out, and we'd appreciate it. And if it's the kind of thing you're into, hit us up. You can message me on YouTube. We're part of the Technobabble network, so you can email me at or you could reach out to us at the Technobabble on Twitter. All that information's in the details below as well.
Alrighty, guys, we've hyped it up enough. Let's let you guys get into the world that is Shackled City.
Yeah, and actually, by the way, before we hop you guys over there, I do want to apologize. When we recorded this last week, I was a little sick. My voice kind of sounds like a horse's asshole, so I apologize that I sound a little rough around the edges there. So just a little heads up if you're wondering why Kirk sounds like he's dying. I was just a little sick, but yeah, like Xander said, we're gonna get you guys over to the interview right now. Right now, for our inaugural episode of the podcast, I'm Kirk. Obviously, I'm here. My co-host, who's going to be chatting with me, is Xander, also known as Ronald. Go ahead and say hey, Xander.
How's it going, world? Xander Darks here. If you can't see me, I am saluting to you.
Okay, yeah, and we're joined with several of the cast members of Shackled City, which is a pretty popular tabletop RPG game that Bubbernaut produces and streams quite regularly. And tonight was episode 40.
Episode.
So, like I said, we've missed a lot, but that's kind of what this episode's all about, is to kind of quickly catch people up. So if you're new to the stream, new to Bubbernaut's channel, and new to Shackled City, we're going to try to get you up to pace really quickly, hit the high points. So, Bub, this is not the same group that you started with, is it?
It's mostly the same group. There has been some deviation, that's for sure. We've had some people fall off because of time differences and things like that, but it's we still have our core group. So you're looking at Red, which is now currently playing Cicada. You have Panda, which was playing Giro, who's now playing Alakir. Inu, who has been playing multiple characters. He's died several times.
Yeah.
Sniper and Dan are probably the most recent additions to the group. And so far, I'm very happy to have them. Dan plays Theodwin, which is the homicidal maniac. And Sniper plays Farid, which is our resident cleric.
We'll get to those guys in just a minute, because tonight's episode was pretty dramatic, and I want to talk a little bit about that. But in the meantime, for those people out there who are maybe into D&D or Pathfinder, especially the Shackled City campaign, which is a widely popular campaign among D&D, so can you kind of catch people up to kind of where are they at in the overall story arc of Shackled City? What have they been through? What are some of the highlights? You know what I mean?
That's a feat in and of itself. You have to realize that we've been role playing now for about a year, so a lot of material has been covered pretty rapidly. You think that each of these sessions average about 4.5 hours.
Rapidly.
I mean, do the math. Do the math on that. We've got
160 hours.
Yeah. At least at this point, because some streams have lasted longer, some streams have lasted a little shorter than that. But we put in a lot of work in this, that's for sure. As far as story element wise, we are just trickling the surface. We've technically entered chapter 2 of a multi-chapter book known as the Shackled City. It's a 3.5 Dungeons and Dragons adventure path, and I've converted most of it to Pathfinder, which is my tabletop campaign setting of choice and rule system. But
also, it's about 200 hours.
These guys have put in a lot of work. There's been a lot of role play. They've come pretty far, all things considered. When we started, they couldn't even identify the difference between a D4 and a D6. Now, these fellas are role playing like professionals. Tonight, we had an in-game argument last over an hour. It was pretty intense. I hope you watched, because it was very heated, very emotional.
Yeah, I was there. Xander was a little late getting in tonight. We're gonna try to work it out in the future where we're able to see more of it. But
Sure.
And again, one reason we want to bring you guys on is to get the inside perspective. So again, if you guys are interested in this, it's like now. If you haven't gotten into it, I think now is the perfect time to start watching. Even though you've already missed a year or 40 episodes worth of role playing, and a lot of that is captured on your VODs, Bub. But some of the earlier stuff, sadly, was not able to be saved. But I digress. However, like Bob said, they're just scratching the surface. It's a great time to get into it. Really quickly, you guys, the guys that are here, let's go ahead and introduce just a little brief, 2 to 3 sentences about who you play, what your character kind of personality is, and maybe your race and class, and what you think your character excels at. Let's go ahead and start with Sniper Goat.
All right. Hey, everybody. I'm one of the newest players in the Shackled City campaign. I play Fareed Anwar, and he is a cleric of Serenay. And he was actually rescued from a fate worse than death in one of the dungeons. And so right now he's actually just trying to repay the debt that he feels like he owes the group. And he's definitely learning they're an interesting bunch.
For sure. One of the interesting bunch that you and Bub alluded to earlier is Dan. Dan, tonight there was on episode 40 a pretty heated argument. It was almost like you were begging for your life at one point. It seemed the entire party was against you. Could you explain a little bit why do you think the party was so against your character, and why do you think it's so important that they hear you out before making judgments?
Well, Kirk, here's the deal. I am also a pretty newcomer to the party. My name is Theodwin in game. I am a level 5 elven rogue, a worshipper of Eravin Elessere, which is the elven god of chaos. And if that doesn't tell you enough, I guess I should also say that I am of chaotic evil tenure, I guess.
Wait, you're not lawful good?
I know, right? Big surprise. There is Theodwin is kind of like an onion. There's a lot of layers to be peeled away, and I would love for those layers to be peeled away before my party members decide to cut my head off in an alley. Unfortunately, that's part of the game. I have to roleplay as my character, and they have to roleplay as theirs. So that's, I think, where the argument started tonight. There were some actions by my character driven by his persuasion that did not sit well with the rest of the party, and I think they got kind of fed up, which, based on their lawful good nature, which I think most of them are, is not really surprising. So yeah, there was a bit of a standoff, a bit, where I was trying to get an open conversation started about who I was and where I come from and why I was doing the things I was doing. Unfortunately for the campaign, some of the other members were not necessarily interested in understanding where I was coming from, and were more interested in being vengeful in their lawful good nature. So it was a little tough. Theodwin comes from a different background than anybody else in this particular game. I think Bub is the only, Bub being, Bub or not, the GM of the series, is the only one who, almost fully understands where Theodwin is coming from. And we were trying to get the party to a place where we could actually have an open conversation. Unfortunately, that didn't really take place tonight. Hopefully it will in the future. But yeah, that's where the major discord took place tonight. I am the exact opposite spectrum from everybody else. So obviously the actions that I'm going to take are going to be at odds with the desires of the rest of the party.
So you were. Oh, I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
You were saying that. I mean, you're comparing your character to that of an onion. Saying that you have layers built upon your character. Now you said that you are chaotic evil, which I mean in this case that's your whole overall goal is either to completely decimate your party or use them to whatever desire that you have. Given
sort
that
of.
you,
My character sort of looks at his party as a tool. I have no desire to kill off my party. That's not necessarily Theodwin's goal. He just looks at them no differently than he looks at anybody else. In that, I mean, all life is not super important to me, and I think that's been the major rub between myself and the other members.
well, I mean, at this point, you made a plea for your life. I mean, you said that. I mean, obviously, this is an attempt to save your credibility with the group. But I mean, as the story has been going on, are you feeling that your character might be switching alignments towards something away from chaotic evil, more towards chaotic neutral, or do you feel that you're just as of everything right now, how it's playing out, you like you said, you want to keep them as tools? When one gets broken, you got to do your best to get rid of them, or is it, I have to keep up appearances and try my best to keep that broken tool useful?
I don't want to give away too much. We still have a lot of time to go in this campaign, and whoever decides to view this podcast or view our game for the 40th session that just took place, or any previous sessions, I don't really want to give away any spoilers, but I will say that Theodwin is currently chaotic evil.
Okay.
Because he is trying to find his place in a group that he has been raised in, and once he finds that place, if my character Theodwin does not die ahead of time, once he finds that place, I think that the viewers can expect Theodwin's persuasion to change.
Okay.
Going to some of the other, now we kind of got an insight into Theodwin's character from Dan here, but let's talk to Cicada, Panda, and who else do we have in the call here today? Innuendo, right. Who plays Vantus? I think is how you pronounce it.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. So you guys, what is your perception or your character's perception of Theodwin's actions and his sort of standoffishness and aggressiveness, and what are your characters trying to achieve in this goal, and also what has led up to this point to create such a tension?
My character, Alec here, doesn't know how to view Dan simply because Alec here is Theodwin. He's slightly a bleeding heart. He wants to help everybody. Unless they are provided to be truly evil, such as monsters. However, Theodwin is an elf. He doesn't know how to go about this. He wants to provide assistance to everyone who's going towards a goal. So like down in Jizzardrum, he helped Theodwin because Theodwin was helping them. It's just, as of right now, he hasn't seen any of the actions that Theodwin has taken. He's only heard, but he wants to assist everyone. He wants to make lives easier. Like today's session, I wasn't there with the group, but I mean, my character was off performing and telling stories. He was doing it to make money, but at the same time, that's enrichment for the city. I'm actually currently going down a path of the days that I'm not able to roleplay with the group, I'm actually going to try and take over for the old apothecary and provide alchemical assistance to the group and to the town. Mm-hmm. It's along the lines of being able to help as many people as possible, because as a bard, I have access to many divine spells that allow for healing and things of the sort.
You're the jack of all trades, is what you're saying. You can do a bit of everything to help everybody.
Alec here is definitely, he takes a dip when it comes to strength and when it comes to his overall toughness, because his strength and his constitution are things of his lowest nature. However, when it comes to wits and brains and a little bit of dexterity, he excels greatly. Like, if you were to compare me to Theodwin, the only difference when it comes to like our ability to hide, our ability to jump, our ability to somersault through the air is the fact that he's trained at it his whole life, whereas my character just finds it innately easy.
Okay. Well, you were saying that you're pretty much in the sense, the support of the group. In that regard, would you see yourself as a moderator between the group when stuff goes down? Or, I mean, and this can go for everyone. Who would be the guy that you would say is the glue to your group? Like, who's keeping you together from getting at each other's necks when something goes wrong?
Nobody.
Klaus.
That's the problem.
I believe that's Klaus. Will.
Klaus.
Well,
Okay.
okay, Klaus tries his hardest, and Farid and Vantis are new, but at the same time, they don't want things to go to shit because they feel like they still owe something to Red. However, like I said, I want to help everybody. It's hard to take a side when you're trying to assist everybody within the group. Like, if I were there today, I don't want Dan to die. When his leg got chopped off because of whatever the hell happened, my character's first response was to go and immediately try and get this leg back together. Like, I popped as much as I could healing wise to him. It's hard to say, but yes, Klaus so far has been the one that wants the group to stay together. However, at the same time, we have characters whose personalities are at such an extreme to each other. It's also pulling the group apart.
Well, I would like to piggyback on that.
Go ahead, Dan.
I think that we are all young role players. I think that's fair to say. And I think that I've been doing my best to choose each one of my actions carefully based on my character, Theodwin, his personality, which is as a chaotic evil rogue, maybe I should have chosen a little bit better, is really difficult. I should also let everybody know that this is my first time playing Dungeons and Dragons. This is my first ever tabletop role-playing experience. And so I might have been biting off slightly more than I could chew with this character, because it is a very hard character to play, true to the character himself.
That's actually what I was trying to get into. Because of your character development, not even character development, player development. I mean, all of you have been going at this roughly a year already in this campaign itself, and
not all of us.
Well, for the majority of you guys have been. You guys have had to overcome different obstacles, and you guys learn the game little by little with each session that you guys do. And
right.
I mean, given that, like you said yourself, Theodwin is a chaotic evil character, but now that you're, I would say, in a sense, a better player than you were when you first started, do you feel that Theodwin is something not, I don't want to use the word less than chaotic evil, but do you think he's not as evil as you first perceived him to be?
That's a hard question to answer. I actually spent a lot of time, probably more than I should have, because I'm, kind of pathetic and sad and lonely, but I spent a lot of time designing Theodwin's backstory. And this is something that even I haven't even shared with Bub, the DM.
Are we going to get some insider information on the podcast right now?
First episode, we're already getting an exclusive.
Yeah, about to get some spoilers here. I spent a lot of time designing Theodwin's backstory, and that backstory made necessary that Theodwin came into the story as chaotic evil. Now, he is not necessarily going to stay chaotic evil, because Oh, I'm really trying not to give too much away.
if I could
in order to progress, go ahead.
Well, I mean, if I could just go ahead and throw my own spin on it, having watched you playing and then joining in, I mean, Theodwin, while he is a chaotic evil character, it's very obvious that a lot of his motivations are strictly to assist the party. He's just the one character who is not afraid to get his hands dirty. Now, granted, he might have a small issue sharing his plans with everybody, but a lot of the actions that he takes where on the face of it just comes across as completely crazy and has everybody in the party and even in the stream chat just kind of going, what? And just scratching their heads. It almost always ends up that he's doing something that's incredibly beneficial. Like in the episode 39, he's got all these prostitutes gathered in his room. And of course we think, well, he's just aiming. Yeah, he's just aiming for this, aiming for the skies.
He's just really trying to get that hour just worth that 25 gold.
But it turns out that he wanted all these prostitutes together because in earlier session, it was found out that an NPC who ran a bathhouse frequented a prostitute, and the prostitutes, of course, went to the bathhouse at a cheaper rate. So, of course, the prostitutes had a clear idea as to what was happening. One thing a lot of people might not realize is he got some very useful information that way, and as kind of a payment for that information, he helped throw a coup within the prostitution organization. Of course, the party wasn't aware of it, and, while his intentions were noble, the way he went about it fit straight into his character. And I got to admit, Dan's been wonderful about playing his character as a very smart, intuitive, and overall clever character.
So essentially,
I really appreciate that.
You're pretty much, in a sense, using the fullest amount of chaos that you can get into your planning to, in a sense, come out with a beneficial result towards you or the group, whatever's needed at that time.
Again, that's I'm trying really hard not to give too much away for what's coming in the future, which is going to happen probably in the next 2 or 3 sessions. But the way Theodwin is designed, the way I wrote Theodwin, and I did write him. I have pages of backstory for Theodwin. The way that I wrote him, he is, until the next level, he has to act like a completely chaotic evil character. He has to act like a 12-year-old boy with nothing but fun on his mind. Mm-hmm. Once he turns a corner, which hopefully we will see soon, that will all change. But
hey, Dan,
yes,
I can give you this for everyone who was here and experienced Giro. Your character is going to make a sooner turn. Will make a sooner turn for the good, and I can see it already, than Giro ever would have.
Yeah, just don't choke on the honey.
Giro was from the original party. He was a halfling rogue that was completely homicidal. Like, there was no good to it. He prayed to the god Norgerber, which is the god of murder. And upon, like blood and such like that, he would bathe. Even if it seemed evil, he bathed in blood. Your character has a better side to him than the rogue that I used to play during the original party. And I can see
I would,
and it's good.
I don't want people to misunderstand here. I want everybody to take what has happened in stride and not assume too much.
But do you get what I'm saying though? I do. It's more the credit to your worth as the fact that you may be chaotic evil, but you're still helping, you're assisting. Whereas the character Giro as a chaotic evil rogue was more for himself, more for murder. Like upon killing phase beasts in like one go, like because obviously rogues have amazing sneak attack when they nat 20. Upon just slaughtering phase beasts, you can ask Red. he removed the tentacles, drew a pentagram upon the ground, prayed to Norgerber, and then wiped his face in blood. Whereas your character so far has just seemed to revel in murder, but at the same time assist the group. Whereas Giro, as a also chaotic evil rogue,
if I can make a point about that, I mean, he did say that his character does have a use for you. And I mean, even as a chaotic evil character, I mean, his whole plan could be world domination at the end of all this and just put up a front for it. And it could be, or even towards the end of the campaign, he's like, you know what? I feel like we're in a safe zone. You know, the biggest and the baddest trouble is actually behind us. You know what? My tools are have lived past their usefulness, and it's time to get to work. So I mean, I get what Dan's saying, where his character can still go through some different developments, or even stay on the same path he's been since he started. It really does come down to how everyone else plays out, because if he sees, I mean, I'm just going off assumption here, but if he sees that you guys are still worth anything to him at the end of this, then yeah, of course he's going to keep you, and he's going to still play that guy that's going to be there for you when you need him. But I mean, if it comes down to where the fight's over and he doesn't feel that there's anything stronger than what he last faced, then I mean, he can easily start picking guys off one by one. And I mean, given his role play as a player from the starting to even now, I mean, it seems quite possible that I think he might have it in the cards somewhere to off the group one by one and at least pin it on one of you guys and you know, kind of end the group like that with riding off into the sunset.
We actually have a viewer question real quick I want to toss at you. And,
yeah.
This is directed
fun.
towards Dan. And again, Dan, you know, you don't have to give too much away, but Rock Coil in chat is asking, so with the possible, so yeah, he's a great guy. So with the possible change in alignment, does this mean that his class will be suffering in strategy somewhere? I feel like this is going to have a change in the character's way of battle. As an example will be a chaotic evil character will be ruthless to his enemies, but if he goes good, will he spare them? Will he risk something like death to be quote unquote good?
Well, Rock Coil, that is a fantastic question, and I'm glad that it was brought up. Again, I have to stress, I'm really trying not to give away spoilers, and if my character dies before I'm able to actually get to what I was trying to do with this character, I would like to have a chance on a show like this to explain where I was going. But for the time being right now, what I can say is, Theodwin was written by me, Daniel Phillips, to be a chaotic evil character until a certain event happened. When that event happens, you will see the character Theodwin undergo a certain catharsis and understand the true goings on of the worlds around him, and I will say the worlds because that will become known as well in the future. I won't say that Theodwin will switch to something as extreme as a good alliance. I don't think that you will see that. But I will say that chaotic evil should, as long as Theodwin survives, chaotic evil should fall to his past.
Well, you got to remember also that Theodwin, like his god, you know, part of the deity he worships, had no matter, you know, whether he sways kind of good or bad, that's probably, unless he has a change in religion, I would imagine, he's always going to kind of have that chaotic evil side to him, right?
Correct. I mean, not even not chaotic. You could be evil. You could keep the evil portion, and you can go lawful. In which sense, you give yourself a set of rules to go by.
Well, I will say this to Kirk and to Ronald. The god that Theodwin worships is not an evil god. He is a chaotic god.
Okay.
So, I'm not gonna go too far on this, but I will say that Theodwin will not go good, but there will always be a side of Theodwin that is aligned with the chaotic. That being said, Theodwin has shown in the past and will show in the future the ability to be aligned to a party. Even though some members of the party at large have believed that to be not true, I think that Theoden has shown,
and who do you think
unless pushed?
Go ahead.
I was just going to say, unless pushed, Theoden has no desire, as of right now, to harm any of his fellow adventurers, any of his party members.
Who do you think in the party currently dislikes Theoden the most and is probably least likely to accept or believe him?
Sakata.
That's exactly what I was going to say. Sakata, can you explain to us a little bit more about your character and possibly why he feels the way he feels? For those viewers who may not have caught the conversation on the stream and on the session.
Well, compared to Dan, no, not like that. I don't have a couple paragraphs ready for this. I don't know. Like, Sakata just... I don't like rogues.
He's had bad experience thus far.
Is that player-based, or is that character-based?
It's really both. Like,
his first rogue was
personal.
Giro.
It's a lot of personal, but a lot of the character... My character is a lone sellsword. He's just a mercenary. He's just a dude who sits in a bar. When he's given money, he'll go out and do a job. When he's put into groups with other people, he just does his part, gets his money, and leaves. Rogues are the opposite of that. Rogues will take that, and I don't know. He's also very, like, upfront, very, like, I want to fight. He doesn't like people who lurk in the shadows and sit there and fucking sneak and connive. Sorry for
So, would you say that you're not as a player, but I mean as a character, that you're scared of Theoden? Your character's scared of him in some way?
Not scared. It's not a fear, as more of a constant lingering annoyance in a sense. Like, he probably can't kill me. I probably can't kill him. It's gonna take me way more effort than it takes him to kill me. That's just how it is. Because if I have to kill him, I have to pass way more rolls than he does. He just has to pick my armor class, hit me, like, I don't know, 9 times, I'm dead. I'm done. But for him, I have to find him, have to get him between every shot, have to reach him, and then I still have to hit him. He's a hassle.
So you just simply do not trust Theoden, and you think the party would be better off without him, even though he swears up and down that
he is amazing and helping us.
Exactly.
Yeah. I can't deny it. He has done what he says. He has helped.
Okay, hopefully we can get something out of you on this one. Given the chance, if you two had to team up and he was in trouble, would you take that opportunity to try to get rid of him?
No. I mean, I could have killed him when he killed the whore. I could have done that. He's still in my party.
But would it? I mean, and this also goes for the rest of the group. I mean, would that have sat well with you guys, knowing that Sakata kills Theoden, and if he just told you like straight up like, yeah, I killed him, I took my opportunity, I don't trust him. I mean, given everything that's transpired right now, I mean, Theoden seemed extremely crucial to your guys' team coordination in terms of planning and kind of getting information. So, I mean, would you consider Sakata's reasonings justified, or would there be some inner turmoil in regards to that?
Well, as far as I think most of the party can agree, I mean, as far as Fareed's inclinations go, a lot of the motivations for Theoden's actions, I mean, we don't even know that he's gotten this information yet, or I think it just came out during that argument earlier during this campaign session. Uh-huh. So a lot of us aren't aware of what all he's doing behind the background. We're just starting to kind of get an idea as to what Theoden's been doing behind the curtain. So we're all pretty much left in the dark, and all we have to go on is what we've all witnessed so far. So It would be really hard to say that Sakata is not justified in some of the things. No, in
My character is also
possibly.
very brash and
Well-
takes everything at face value.
Okay, but I mean, even if it's just with what you guys witnessed, would it be enough to say that Sakata trying to kill? If you were to, let's say your characters walk in on the act, whose side would you take in that regard then?
Given all the actions between the characters, definitely Sakata's right now.
Alec here, as of thus far, seeing how Theodwin acts, he would stand on the side of Sakata, but that's just because Alec here wants people to stop dying. However, he would not condone the killing of Theoden right out because of the fact that he wants to see people stop dying. He'd rather Theoden stop killing than Theoden be killed.
Let's take a moment real quick.
Can I say something? Can I say something?
No, yeah, go ahead there, Dan.
I want to rebut point by point, in reverse order. Panda, you made the remark, he wants to see Theodwin stop killing. Theodwin has killed one person.
It's not the fact of true murder. It's more of... But here's the thing, Dan. It's not the fact of true murder. It's the fact that I've seen you try to kill innocent.
I know. But what I'm saying is integral to my character. Just please listen. Theodwin has killed one person that you guys did not... Just listen. Theodwin has killed one person since he's been a member of the party that you did not want him to kill. Correct? If you guys will yield to that, my second point is to Sniper or Fareed.
Yeah, what's up?
Sorry. You said if you were to, for example, open a door and Sakata and I were having a battle, you would automatically side with Sakata. And obviously that is true because you have done that now 3 times. But what I would like to say is you, Fareed, as a character, have not had any experience with me other than busting in with Sakata trying to kill me or me trying to attack Sakata.
Oh yeah,
And in every time that you have come upon this situation, I have been more badly damaged than Sakata. You have only come upon us once where I was actually drawing on him. And even then, I was bleeding because he had just hit me for half of my hit points.
Oh, I understand completely where you're coming from, Dan. And all I can go on is what Fareed has seen so far in the fact that he feels a large burden.
Right. But what I'm trying to say is, this is kind of metagaming, but you may want to examine, as a player, not as your character, as a player, the fact that you have come upon Sakata and I battling now 3 times, and each time I have been damaged and he has not been damaged. And each time I have said, why is this guy trying to kill me? Because I feel like there is, and this is human nature, outside of the game now, player-wise, this is human nature. You guys have been a party longer than I have been a part of it. I'm relatively new to this group as a player. But Sakata can basically say anything and you guys all eat it up. Even characters that have not been in this campaign very long, you just assume because Sakata has been here for a long time that if he says something, it's true. And he is a lawful good character, so that is a decent assumption to
He's
make.
not lawful good.
Yeah, I'm not.
Neutral,
I'm neutral.
Neutral good?
He's
No, not even. He's neutral.
Okay.
I'm neutral.
I would give you neutral
You gotta work on that, bro.
You're true.
I would give you neutral good.
Yeah, he definitely plays his character like a good character.
So, episode 39, there was quite an interesting scene, and up until episode 40, I would say it's one of the best episodes of the series thus far, in which, if you guys want to go ahead and explain just a little quick summary of what happened as far as the 12 hookers go and the murders that followed. If you could recap that scene for people who may have missed it. I think there was a lot of things going on in the campaign that led up to the tension between Theodwin and a lot of the other players, but I feel like that it was that action where things really kind of started to fall apart between the group. Am I wrong in thinking, or am I right in thinking that?
I think that the alliance and the group fell apart way before that, and I only say this because I actually got in you. What's your new character's name? I'm sorry,
Vantis.
Vantis.
It's okay. I go through them like nothing.
I know, right? So I got Vantis to bring the characters up to the room where I was standing there with a bunch of dead hookers. Those hookers were not actually dead. Again, I didn't actually kill them. I just had them acting dead because I wanted to kill somebody who deserved it. But before that, there was one other instance where the group at large and Theodwin as a character had sort of a butting of heads because Theodwin was trying to kill somebody who they didn't think. Well, I guess there was two instances where Theodwin was trying to kill somebody that they didn't think necessarily wanted to be killed. Theodwin laid out a logical reason for killing them. They didn't agree, and he backed off. But there's been kind of I would say since about the third episode that Theodwin was in, Cicada has been. Well, that was actually the first time that Cicada tried to kill me.
Yes.
And there's been sort of a clash since then. Cicada doesn't appreciate what Theodwin is bringing to the table, which is, in my opinion, silly on his part.
Because you refuse to tell us what you bring to the table, though.
But you've never asked. But I will say Theodwin brings a lot to the table. Unfortunately, there are certain members of the party that would rather kill me than ask why I'm doing the things that I'm doing. When I have morally and legally agreed to perform actions only to better the party. See, this was actually an interesting development in tonight's episode. The first time that I met the group, Cicada had me sign a contract that said that I would do nothing that didn't help the party. And I have held up my end of the bargain. But tonight, Cicada tried to kill me and then burnt that contract. Now, as a neutral character, that seems, in my opinion, out of character. Again, each player plays his character the way the player wants to play his character, but not once, other than Klaus, not once has any member of the party asked Theodwin why. Why is he doing the things that he's doing? And I feel like
I have to interject on this. With the halfling and with the cook, we did ask why, and you gave your reasoning, and we gave our counter reasoning upon the aid of Cicada about how these are the people that we came down here to save, and you still insisted upon killing them.
No. The halfling, I was under a spell, and so that was not my fault.
To the character knowledge, yes, you were under a spell.
The cook, it was within logical reason to kill him, but you guys weren't willing to make that sacrifice, and when you guys said, we're not willing to make that sacrifice, I backed off.
You had a very long argument with Klaus.
Right, but then I backed off. I was you guys to see my reasoning, and when you wouldn't, I backed off. Now, all I'm saying is, like since we've been out of that dungeon, since we've been in the town, and we've had these skirmishes between party members, the only person who's bothered to ask me why is Klaus. No other party member has seen it prudent to try to ask why I was doing what I was doing, which to me seems ridiculous, because everything that Theodwin has been doing has been 2 or 3 levels deep in order to help the party.
At the same time, though, your direct assumption that people haven't asked why, but at the same time, like my character, has my character negatively impacted you in any way? Saying that Klaus is the only one that's tried to help you It's kind of like saying that my character has tried to negatively impact you in some way.
If I can jump in on this one, he's never said that you didn't try to help him. He said Klaus was the one who's asked, and that's that's true.
It does also come down to the fact about that. It does also come down to the fact though that Dan is also, anytime he's part of the party, you have a 9 times out of 10, Dan tries to hide himself from the party. No matter what the situation.
It'd be his character.
Or Theodwin.
I'm a rogue.
Yes, you may be a rogue, but at the same time, you're trying to say that
it's... But there's a part of Dan's backstory, or Theoden's backstory, that you guys haven't learned yet. Maybe there's a good reason for that.
And no one asked. That's what I'm saying. There's a huge chunk of Theoden's backstory that the viewers, even the GM, has yet to learn.
Yeah, but Rotcoil in Kirk's chat, brought up a great point, though. Your character's getting angry at us for trying to hold his privacy, but at the same time, all of our characters just want to know your motive, and we have asked you. There has been times where, yes, Dan, there has been times where our characters have asked you,
when?
What the fuck you're doing?
Other than tonight, when?
All the
Literally
times.
any time you do anything.
I may not have because I've been gone.
Guys, I'll say right here for now, just because we've actually been diving really deep into Theoden. At this point, we'll cut back on it for now because we still have two other people in this call that we actually have to introduce. Innuendo and Sniper Goat. I would like to hear you guys' story, some of your perspectives. We will hop back to Theoden in a bit, but I will say as of right now we should move on to figuring out more of the characters. That way it provides not only more perspective, but more, I would just say overall a better depth of understanding from the overall group. But we will get back to Theoden and what he may or may not be about. But for now, let's hit it over to Innuendo. Go ahead and tell us about your character. Give us some of your backstory, your perspective overall as a player. Tell it all, man. Tell us what you can.
Which character?
Yeah,
his name is Vantis.
Which character?
Go ahead. Sorry about that.
I love you.
Tell us about your current character. Vantis. Go
and
ahead.
why is he Theoden's bitch is what I want to know as well.
I'm Vantis. My character's Vantis. I am a chaotic good, so I sway for the good of the party. Though, I don't like to watch other people get killed. It's kind of the two things I'm against is I want to keep this party together, and seeing how I see Sakata as the leader of this party, he's kind of the one I look up to. He's the kind of person that I have to follow because, I have nothing left. As of my backstory, everything that I had, I used to be a hunter, but my family was killed and I was brought down into this Jizzadrun, it was called the dungeon. And, I had nothing left, so I ended up just staying with the party and going with them. They were the family I had afterwards. And, as a person, I have nothing wrong with Dan. Dan's a good guy. But as a character, he killed somebody, which is vaguely against what I'm about. And
but in that regard, if you're against killing, you have to fight for your life at some point. So, if it was done in defense, could you really hold that against them?
It's true.
But that wasn't done in defense.
That was the
I
thing.
did kill one person outside of defense. That's
okay.
true.
Okay.
That was the kill I was talking about. It's when he was killing the innocent person that was the lady that was just in the group. That.
All right.
Well, I'm assuming it was him up to the point where he said that wasn't me, and then him thinking to himself, which he couldn't keep inside of him, said it was him. That kind of gave me the gist
of all the people to get that shit. Oh, actually, Kurt, can you talk about that for 1 second?
Go ahead.
Okay.
I think Dan was just hoping that you would explain one of the things about the bub streams that are really interesting from a viewer point of view is we actually have a rep system for viewers who spend a lot of time in our stream.
That is true.
And with that rep, you can actually make life a real pain by spending that reputation to add, things that are negative and positive to the play story. For instance, one of the things that really threw a wrench in Dan's play tonight was
Friendship.
yeah, somebody actually requested, by spending a lot of reputation, that he no longer have an inner monologue, meaning whenever he had to think, he thought aloud. And that's actually one of the more amusing parts of tonight's stream. So we actually found out a lot more than we intended, just because he wasn't able to think to himself quietly. He actually had to speak whatever was on his mind. Which is what
if you want to actually learn about Theodwin's character, of all the VODs to watch, I would say watch tonight's, because I had to. I did my best, and I think I did a decent job, but I had to actually voice everything that Theodwin as a character would be thinking at that time, which made it really hard because, as I've already described, Theodwin is a very multidimensional character, and he's trying to hide a lot because he's trying to reach certain goals that nobody in the game knows about. And so, as a character who's trying to reach goals that no one knows about and hide things in order to do that, having to speak everything that you're thinking is just very, very hard and very detrimental. So, as a character, Theodwin had a hard time tonight. And I think it was entertaining. I'm probably going to go back and watch it, cause it was funny as hell to watch Theodwin try to, recover from his own thoughts.
One thing I picked up on innuendo, you were saying that you looked, that your character looks up to, Cicada. Can you touch a little more basis on that? I mean, I understand you said that, your family was, in a sense, killed off at one point. I'm guessing this is part of your backstory, correct?
Yes, that is part of my backstory.
Yeah, can you give us a little bit of insight about, the bond that you and Cicada have, or the aspiration that you have towards him? Because, I mean, at this point, you pretty much where Cicada goes, you go in that sense, correct?
Yeah. Even though I am 90 years older than he is, I look up to him as kind of like a fatherly figure. He's a person that I genuinely respect. He has my back, and I know he does.
So could he do no wrong in your eyes in that regard, or is it? I mean, has there been any points during this adventure where you're not sure whether you want to be like him or you want to see what you can do on your own?
That has happened several times. When we had been caught up into the upper room where I was helping Dan, I had Cicada come in and try to attack him at that point before he had attacked Redback. I don't know whose side I would have taken. I probably would have opted out and still tried to stop them from fighting like I did with the Thunderstone earlier. Or later, rather.
I mean, if you continue, like, let's say the feud between Cicada and Theodwin continues to happen, but you keep seeing it as Cicada throwing the first punch. I mean, would you feel that you will eventually start to break away from him, or do you unconditionally believe that, you know, something has to be going on where Theodwin is causing problems? Like, tell me like how your player would see, you as a character would see that.
At the moment, I believe I'm kind of torn between the two of them, because one of them's continuously punching himself in the face, and the other one is continually muttering to himself and re-speaking over top of what he says, and so
yeah, you're really torn in you.
I'm trying to pick the best of two bads, is what I'm trying to say.
Okay.
Well, I mean, if you're torn between them, I mean, is there a possibility that you can just side with Theodwin at one point? Could you
I believe
just...
it could happen. If he does show that he isn't just trying to kill the person I look up to, who he said he liked to kill more than once.
Now, given that, would you be willing to kill Cicada
Wait a minute
if he asked
now.
you to?
I don't recall him saying he wanted to kill him. I think he said he would kill him himself.
No, he literally said he's been waiting 3 days to kill me.
He had said that when he was up on the rooftop.
Okay.
And he said again afterwards that this, when he was trying to keep it into his head,
he really wants to kill me.
Yeah.
But
the feeling's mutual.
But I have never been the first one to strike Cicada.
Which is also true.
And that's what I'm trying to get at. I mean,
and that's that's what the party members seem to be missing while they're in this cult following of Cicada, which I don't really understand. But again, I joined late, so I don't really understand it. But
I would like to
Cicada has literally struck me first every time, and every time Theodwin says, "What are you doing? I'm trying to help you."
Yes,
I
but
get
it's not
that
like
I'm not
I'm
doing it
literally
the way
just
that you want
turning
me
around.
to. But I'm telling you, I'm an intelligent being, and I'm doing what I see is beneficial to help your cause. And yet Cicada continues to stab me and cut my legs off, and everybody else is like, "Yeah, kick his ass, Seabass."
It's not like you're sitting there picking daisies and going like, "Oh man, why is this man with the scythe killing me while I'm picking flowers?" I'm attacking you when you have your bow pointed at someone we're trying to save, when you're causing harm to our party, when you're shooting people from a roof, killing innocent people.
Hey, Red.
I never shot anybody from a roof until after you attacked me tonight.
No, that is after.
Give us just a moment, Kirk. You wanted to interject on that one?
I was just going to say, from an outsider standpoint, I feel like, I mean, obviously there's a lot of tension in the party right now. But have you guys ever thought about maybe trying to come together on an overall common goal, right? I feel like, that might bring you guys together, and you can have your differences of opinion, but what is the group's current common goal, and are you willing to put your differences aside to reach that goal?
That's what Theodwin has been this whole time.
Could I chime in real quick?
Theodwin as a character is he has his own means because he is 128 years old. He has seen entire leadership regimes rise and fall. He has seen towns be born and die. He has seen all of this stuff. So to simply brush away what he's trying to do is asinine. And Theodwin signed a contract upon meeting Cicada that what he would do from this point forward would be to try and help the party. So Theodwin and Cicada have a common goal. Cicada is the one that is not comfortable, and if Cicada were a good character, lawful good, or even neutral good, this would make sense. Knowing that Cicada is a neutral character actually kind of confuses and a little bit angers me. But if Cicada were a good character, then his actions would make sense. Because if Theodwin were doing stuff, performing actions that were not necessarily lawful, then that character would say, maybe you shouldn't do that. I'm going to probably ask you not to do that. But Theodwin came into the party, signed a contract saying he was going to help the party, and then since then, Cicada has basically been riding his ass and saying, if you don't do exactly what I want you to do, which is not the way it's supposed to work. Theodwin came in as a partner, not as an employee. And that's what's kind of angering Theodwin at this point, is that Cicada treats everybody in this adventuring party like Cicada is the boss and they are all the employees. When in reality, they're all sort of partners. And Theodwin takes offense to this because he's been alive 5 times as long as Cicada. Like, he could be Cicada's grandfather, for all Cicada knows. And to have somebody that insignificant act like he should be ruling your life is insulting. And so that's kind of where Theodwin is coming from, I guess. But Theodwin and Cicada actually have the same ultimate goal. It's just that Cicada doesn't see the means, or I guess Cicada doesn't see the end as justifying the means, whereas
I see different ways to the end than what you do.
Can I say something real quick, though?
Go ahead, Panda, go ahead.
In the terms of your two characters, though, Dan, and this is in neither defense nor attack upon either Sakata or Theodwin, you have to also take into the fact that Sakata's character is extremely simple-minded. He sees the task the way that he wants to see it. However, you also have to look at the point where your character also sees the task how you want to see it. Meaning that as soon as you two go about the same task in different ways, Sakata's character being of the mindset that he is, how can he trust you? Because you have no. You have not given him a reason to trust you besides doing things for the party in your own, but the thing is, you do things for the party in your own way. And not in the way that Sakata sees.
Not in my own interest.
But the thing is, they are. That's the problem. Every time you have acted, they have been in Dan's interest.
Let's hold on a second. We'll come back to that. Sniper, what is your character's take on how would if Farid could come in and try to settle that? What would Farid do? I mean, what can you give us a little insight to what to look forward to? I mean, your character in terms of in game hasn't really said a whole lot on the subject, at least from what I can recall. What is he thinking about all of this on the inside?
Well, one of the reasons why Farid has been kind of sitting back is because he is exceptionally new to the party. In fact, just like Innuendo's character, he was actually rescued in, I think it was episode 36, 37. It was a fairly recent, it's been fairly recent that they've been in the party. So right now, as far as Farid's concerned, he's sitting back and kind of taking it all in. He's trying to get used to these people who he's traveling with. And, it's kind of, with any adventuring group, there's a lot of mismatched motivations, methodologies, and so forth. And of course, it's always really interesting seeing how chaotic evil and a generally good party interact with each other. I mean, Dan, I gotta say it again, I love the way that you play Theodwin, and I love the conflict that he comes in with. And I really think that as time progresses, so long as he can survive long enough, I think there's going to be a lot more party understanding. And as far as Farid's interests are concerned, unfortunately, he missed this argument. He and the Bard.
That's the problem, is all the times that Dan or Theodwin has been attacked, though, except for in the bathhouse when Dan triggered that trap, Alakir hasn't actually been there. As a character, I'm on neither side because I haven't been there. I've only heard what's happened, meaning that as a character, Alakir doesn't know where to stand on it because of the fact that he hasn't been here for this. And just like Farid's saying, Farid's new, and like this most recent argument, we were gone. So our characters
and it can be so frustrating from a player standpoint because here you are sitting there at the table, metaphorically speaking, of course, sitting there at the table and you're watching this and you're like, oh my God, this would have been so good to know. If we'd have been able to sit there and witness it, it would have been, helped our character iteration so much.
I'm glad Farid came with me because my character would like to talk to Farid about helping with the alchemy stuff. But like he's saying, it would be helpful for characters to know. And any yes?
Any you got a question?
Yeah, I have a question. What trap was triggered? That was the one day I wasn't here.
The door.
Oh yeah, that was a door in the bathhouse.
Okay.
Yeah. Theodwin was immediately picking the lock and managed to, the dice hate him, his family, and his dog that night. And of course, that was a heck of an interesting episode. And then I think we actually got that on VOD, don't we, Kurt?
I think so. Which episode was that?
It would have been 39.
I think we've got that one. Yeah. That was last.
Or 38.
It was
37 or 38.
Well, maybe.
So kind of
because 39 was the whorehouse.
Kind of
hey Vantis,
based on your character, Sniper. So it's pretty much that you don't have an opinion. It's just you just don't have one yet. Is that pretty much what we're getting at? That you don't.
He hasn't had enough interaction with everybody in the party to have formulated a concrete opinion. For instance, like I was saying earlier, if he were to make a snap judgment walking into a room and Theodwin and Cicada were in the midst of a heated battle, going by snap judgment, he could go by gut instinct and motivation, and of course he's got to look at Cicada as leader of the party who helped rescue him. Now,
but if you didn't know that, would it change your decision then? If you just saw two guys and you had to pick one off that snap judgment without knowing who the leader was, would you go? Who would you side with?
Well, it's kind of a difficult theoretical question there. I mean, because what we're ultimately talking about is what drives the character's interactions, and the only thing I can say as far as Farid goes is he has a necessary feeling because he is a cleric and he is actually a follower of Serenade, and he has to do what he thinks and considers is right because of his sense of debt to Cicada. He can't help but leap toward. Now I'm hoping, as the play goes on, that he learns more of Theodwin, because I think Theodwin would be an interesting character for him. One of the things, as far as Farid's background goes, is he actually starts off as a scholar, and he comes, he's kind of forced into a life of adventuring. So this is actually one of his early adventures in his history, and he's just been having a terrible time as far as this city goes. After all, I mean, first couple days he's in the city, he's captured, put in a dungeon, and made somebody's plaything. But that's definitely been a fate worse than death. But I'm really hoping as the play goes on that he can get more information about the characters, and I hope that as he does, he's going to be able to put out more of an opinion, because he's a very diplomatic character. I can see him definitely wanting to sit down with Theodwin when they have more downtime and just kind of interact more. I mean, there was, during the prostitute scene, for instance, when he walked in and he sees these prostitutes playing dead, and he sees two dead bodies, and he sees Theodwin with his bow and so forth, and just rushing out to kill an old lady. Of course, he had to interact as best he could. But of course, one thing to note is he wasn't trying to be, while he did have to resort to kind of violent instances, he wasn't out to kill.
Kind of?
Hey, he bashed him over the back of the head with a sheath sword.
Bashed me in the head.
So with kind of I was going to say, kind of recapping towards what happened at the end of the stream, can you guys give us kind of a quick recap as to what that argument was about, and kind of like what we can expect to see happening from I guess the next episode, continuing on what's going on right now. Bub
did a great job tonight, ending it on a really good cliffhanger. Things were just starting to kind of come to a boiling point. So for those of you that weren't fortunate enough to catch it, and maybe can't go back and watch the VOD or whatever, or just want a quick recap, in your own words, players, please tell us how the episode ended tonight.
Well, one of the great things I found interesting is while the argument was reaching its fever pitch, Bub actually introduced Garrett, the bar owner of the Tipsy Temptress.
Griffith.
Oh, Griffith, yeah. He actually breaks in at the very tail end of that argument, right when it was about to boil over, and introduces the fact that Griffith's family has been murdered, and the only clue they have to go on is a bloody amulet on the bar surrounded by human teeth.
Does anyone have any idea how that happened?
Yeah, actually, yeah.
Go ahead and give us some insight. What you think it might mean?
Well, I don't want to say too much because it might ruin it, but I can say at least what Bub
spoiler
said.
Alert.
Yeah, is that it's the enemy that we have fought before. It is the enemy that we thought that we had killed that we were told is unkillable, and we learned that, guess what? He's probably not dead.
So one of two things may happen going forward, is that the party's either going to fall apart and shit's going to go bad really fast, or you guys will come to realize, hey, we have to come together and defeat this common enemy, and it may even make you stronger.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, so, and I think that's hopefully maybe we can get around to seeing some of that within the next 2 or 3 episodes. I'm really interested in seeing the way it plays out. I want to say, excuse my voice, by the way, tonight. I'm starting to get a little cold, but I want to say thank you guys for coming on the stream. We pretty much ran out of time right now. We'll try to do this every Wednesday night live, but if not, we'll at least try to get it up pretty soon after the stream so people can catch up on what's been going on. So thank you all. Thanks for all the guys that came out and watched it live. And we've got Panda, of course, Rod Coyle, Riggs is here. All you guys, thanks for showing up. Hit the follow button if you like what you saw. I'm Kirk. I'm saying goodnight. Go ahead. This was my co-host,
Xander Darks, once again, giving you the salute that you guys can't see, and I will catch you next time.
Okay, and once again, we want to thank all
Thanks,
the players
guys.
for joining us. Thank you, guys.
Thank you guys.
Have a good night, guys.
This has been the Table Talk Podcast. The Table Talk Podcast is presented by the Technobabble Network. Please send us your feedback on Twitter by tweeting @thetechnobabble. Thanks for listening!